Thank you, everybody, for joining us today for an exciting announcement. We will be recording this event, just to make you aware of that. And today we should have a handful of reporters on the call. For any reporters, please save your questions until the very end of today's event. Starting off today's agenda, we have U.S. Congressman Henry Cuellar. Congressman has been extremely active on border issues his entire career, representing Laredo and part of the Rio Grande Valley, and has been a great friend to the bank. And so with that, Congressman, I'd like to turn it over to you to give your remarks.
All right, thank you so much. And Jesse, thank you for what you do, and Calisto and all of y'all at the bank. We really appreciate the good work that y'all do, not only on the U.S. side, but also on the Mexican side. And to the EPA Regional Administrator, Ken McQueen, again, thank you for the work that you do on behalf of the EPA and, of course, the funding that we'll be talking about here today. I'll say a few words, but then after that, we'll have a video by our friend, Senator John Cornyn. He'll give a video on that. He'll talk on a video conference. And then on behalf of my good friend, famous Will Hurd, we'll have Stacy Atiaga that will say a few words, and then we'll go down to the EPA Administrator, and of course with Calisto, the Managing Director of NADB. So Jesse, again, thank you. The announcement today is $15 million in program funding that has been awarded to the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency Region 6 for the U.S. Mexico border water infrastructure program that the bank will be working on. And this funding can be used for technical assistance, infrastructure construction grants, high priority municipal drinking water and wastewater monies that we need. So important. So monies going through EPA and monies through NADB will be what the source of funding is. I'll start off first with NADB. I mean, NADB, as you know, has been working based there in San Antonio, has done a lot of work for the border. I'll talk about the first time I dealt with NADB, and that had to do with when I was a state rep, when we built a water treatment, waste treatment in Nuevo Laredo. At that time, Nuevo Laredo was dumping 25 million gallons of raw sewage a day into the Rio Grande, Rio Bravo. So we worked it out together where the federal government put 45%, the state of Texas, and this is where I came in. When I was in the state, we put in 5%, and then the Mexican government put the 50%. And then from there, I was working with a gentleman named Carlos Marin. If you all remember Carlos Marin, and we got this waste treatment plant established in Nuevo Laredo. But as Julia Wallace and other folks that are familiar with Laredo, Nuevo Laredo, one of the issues we've been facing is, of course, there needs to be a little bit more help there, because you still get aguas negras are going into the Rio Grande, and I know we've been working on this, and we'll talk about that particular project and how that funding will be available for that. So I want to say, NADB, thank you for the work that y'all done. And certainly one of the things that we did when we did the USMCA, as you recall, I was carrying a piece of legislation, HR 132, is one of the first bills filed during the session. We got it out of the financial services that would recapitalize and reauthorize in many ways the NADB. We got out of committee, and then at that time, and I'm speaking on the House side because the senator also worked extremely hard on the Senate side, and I worked with Will Hurd. We had a choice, and that choice either pass the bill by itself, try to add the bill in the appropriation bill, because that always is something that has to pass, or attach it to the USMCA. And after I talked to Robert Lighthizer, and after I talked to Richie Neal, the Ways and Means Committee, and Nancy Pelosi, we added it to the USMCA. So when the USMCA passed, there were two things that happened. One, the work on the bank. Number one, the capitalization. And number two, $300 million that got added to EPA. Currently, I was just kidding around with Ken right now, is you got Texas and you got California. California has a huge problem around the Tijuana area, and I understand what they have, but I hope that out of the $300 million, part of that money comes down to Texas, because after all, we did this work through the House side, that initial monies. So I just want to make sure that we talk about this money at a later time. But NADB and EPA have just been great friends to the border. And in the Appropriations Committee, I've been working on making sure that we keep adding monies to these funds that deal with the border. So every year, the EPA Border Water Infrastructure Program is something that we put in. This year, the final bill, we put $25 million, and I will continue making sure that we put money in that particular account to get it on that. And we've been increasing the amount of monies. I think we started off at $15 million, and we've been going up to $25 million for this border water infrastructure and fund money on that. So with that, I just want to say thank you. It's been a bipartisan effort on the House side. I want to thank Will and the other members of the delegation in Texas have been just great friends. And then, of course, on the Senate side, Senator John Cornyn has just been outstanding when it comes to this border issue. So with that, thank you so much. And I'll let you, Jesse, go ahead and follow the agenda. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Congressman, and thank you for your comments and for your presence today and for making the announcement. Obviously, very, very important for border communities to have access to these funds. So thank you for all your hard work. Next on the agenda, we have video remarks from U.S. Senator John Cornyn. And so with that, Gabriel, if you'll please play the video.
Hi, I'm Texas Senator John Cornyn. I want to congratulate our friends in EPA Region 6 for securing this much needed grant to bring clean water to so many families in our border communities. For more than 20 years, the North American Development Bank's investments in our border communities have improved air and water quality, updated infrastructure, and increased cross-border trade. NADB is critical to our relationship with Mexico, and it helps finance critical infrastructure projects within our border communities. I was glad to help support this funding along with my friends, Congressman Henry Cuellar and Will Hurd. Thank you to the EPA Border Water Infrastructure Program and NADB for their funding and continued support. Once again, congratulations and stay safe out there.
Thank you very much, Senator Cornyn, for providing the video and the words. I know how busy you are representing the entire state. Next on the agenda, we have remarks from Congressman Hurd's office. We have Stacy Arteaga, the District Director. Stacy.
Thanks, Jesse. I'm just going to dive right into the prepared statement. Over a quarter century ago, when NAFTA was signed in my hometown of San Antonio, the North American Development Bank, NADB, was created. Initially, the bank's aim was to push environmental policy in the U.S. Mexico border region and enhance relations between our two countries. Decades later, NADB has truly accomplished this and even exceeded expectations. NADB has helped finance more than 250 projects and supported around $8.6 billion in infrastructure investments. These projects have cleaned up polluted air, addressed public health challenges, and promoted greater energy production. Today, we recognize the strong partnership NADB has with the EPA and announce, sorry about that. Lost my statement, sorry about that, and announce new funding through EPA's Border Environment Infrastructure Fund. But first, I'd like to acknowledge the great progress already made because of this program. Through the BEIF, NADB and EPA have partnered with local governments in Texas' 23rd District on several multi-million-dollar projects to improve the lives of South and West Texans. A $3 million grant to Maverick County benefited all 54,000 residents by providing additional landfill space to continue managing the proper disposal of solid waste in their area. A few weeks ago, we were able to celebrate the completion of a project in Marathon funded by the BEIF, which allowed the water supply and sewer service to expand service to its residents and improve their outdated sewer system that was decades old. Though there are many others, these two projects are perfect examples of how the grants not only make much needed infrastructure improvements, they prevent serious public health risks. We see what NADB has been able to accomplish in its partnership with the EPA. With this new allocation of $15 million for our region, I have no doubt more projects that improve the lives of my constituents who live, work, and raise their families in our communities will be accomplished in the future. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Stacy, and please thank Congressman Hurd for all his support and continued support of the bank.
Absolutely.
Next on the agenda, we have EPA Region 6 Administrator Ken McQueen to discuss the EPA's role in this funding. Ken?
Thanks, Jesse. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for having me here today. I would first like to highlight some of EPA Region 6's accomplishments as part of the U.S. Mexico Border Water Infrastructure Program and its funding of the Border Environment Infrastructure Fund, or BEIF, through the North American Development Bank. The BEIF program has been very successful in EPA Region 6, and we could not have accomplished so much without the support of our partners like the NADB, Senator John Cornyn, Congressman Henry Cuellar, and Congressman Will Hurd. Since 1997, EPA Region 6 has invested over $350 million for project construction, leading to over $1.2 billion in total leveraged construction funding. Since the program began, we have completed construction on 68 projects in Region 6, while providing drinking water and wastewater collection and treatment to over 4.5 million residents. We continue to reduce and eliminate untreated wastewater discharges to both surface and groundwaters from communities along the border, and this remains a key goal for us. EPA's construction grant funding appropriation of $15 million in fiscal year 2020 will provide much needed assistance to communities in Texas to provide safe and reliable drinking water and wastewater treatment to eliminate untreated discharges into the Rio Grande. These funds will be utilized for projects in Texas, including El Paso and Dimmitt County, to provide drinking water service for underserved communities. Through its partnership with other federal agencies like the USDA and the Texas state agencies, EPA will be able to make these projects affordable and benefit over 6,000 Texas residents. We are also funding projects to eliminate transboundary discharges of untreated sewage from Juarez, Oconida, and Nuevo Laredo from entering the Rio Grande. These projects will help protect human health and the environment by eliminating over 4 million gallons per day of untreated wastewater from entering the Rio Grande in the vicinities of El Paso, Presidio, and Laredo. I would like to take this time to thank our Texas congressional delegation for their continued support of the U.S. Mexico Border Water Infrastructure Program and the assistance to address the needs of our border residents. I would also like to thank the North American Development Bank for their hard work in overseeing the implementation of our grant funds for both the development and construction of this important program. EPA Region 6 looks forward to continuing our collaborative efforts with the NADB to implement safe drinking water and reliable wastewater collection and treatment systems along the U.S. Mexico border while protecting the public health of all border residents. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ken. Appreciate you being here with us today. And now I'd like to introduce somebody that's obviously, we all know our boss, the North American Development Bank Managing Director, Calixto Mateos Hanel, for some remarks. Calixto?
Well, Jesse, he's the boss, so you better give a much better introduction. You can go ahead and introduce him. I'm just kidding.
Thanks, Congressman. I'll make sure to take a note of that and work on that for next. Calixto.
No, well, good afternoon. Thank you for the kind invitation to join you virtually. And as Ken just mentioned, we would have liked to be in person, but I mean, we need to keep the safe distance and keep safe. And this is a great way to continue our work. It is always nice to be here with Congressman Henry Cuellar, Senator John Cornyn, and the Office of Congressman Will Hurd. I would also like to recognize, as I mentioned before, Mr. Ken McQueen, and EPA Region 6 Administrator, And what can I say? I mean, these events never get old. I remember participating in a similar 2018 announcement on the riverbanks of the Rio Grande in Laredo with Congressman Cuellar. And we would not be gathered here today if it weren't for his hard work, together with Senator Cornyn and well as Congressman Hurd in Washington, D.C. The bank's three amigos have not only successfully increased the funding amount for the EPA's U.S. Mexico border water infrastructure program to 15 million. And these 15 millions will be administered by NADB, used for planning and construction of high priority water and wastewater projects through grants along the Texas and New Mexico border. The U.S. Congress appropriates funding on an annual basis through the EPA's water infrastructure program. The banks, I'm sorry, I lost it again.
Hey, you guys are too high tech. I'm
yes, that's the problem.
Hey,
so
you're too high tech. I use paper.
Yes, so I would like to take the moment to thank EPA for being the collaborative partner with the bank since 1997, which has resulted in 120 completed water and wastewater projects while improving the lives of almost 10 million U.S. Mexico border residents. The commitment shown by the Congressman and Senator to this quality of life program that funds clean drinking water and sanitary wastewater projects illustrate why they are truly representatives of the entire U.S. Mexico border. It is truly my great honor to lead the North American Development Bank, where I get to see firsthand these improvements these infrastructure projects have in the day-to-day lives of the residents along the U.S. Mexico border. On behalf of NADB, I would like to personally thank each of you for their continued support of the bank's mission. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Calixto. That concludes the agenda of today's event. However, I know Julia Wallace and Camila Peña are on the line, and I didn't know if they had any questions for the congressman or Ken or anyone else on the call.
Hi, this is Julia Wallace. Good to see all of y'all. I just wanted to ask, could you tell me more specifically how much money has been appropriated to Nuevo Laredo, and will this be used for planning and engineering of these projects, or construction, or what will it be used for?
Yeah, let me start off with the description, and then if we can talk, if you can give us the amount of monies. First of all, Julia, the Arroyo El Coyote wastewater collection project in Nuevo Laredo has received the pre-construction funding and is expected to be approved by the bank construction funds during the second quarter of 2021. So these funds are also to be expanded on the original Arroyo Coyote study that now include the wastewater collection system for the rest of Nuevo Laredo. We're hoping that this study will be finished by September, and please correct me, NADB, and we'll provide the roadmap to identify and resolve these transboundary sewage flows from Nuevo Laredo to the Rio Grande. Again, you know, just a historical background. Back in the 90s, there was nothing at all. We built this waste treatment plant, and now we're seeing this leakage, this black waters, the aguas negras are going in. So we're coming in to work on what we started back in the 1990s. And as you answer that question, also the other project in my district for Ms. Peña is also the newly selected project for funds in my district in Rio Grande City, the West Sanitary Extension Project, if you can mention and give numbers. But first to the Coyote, if you can give Julia the amount of money, and then for what we're looking at for Rio Grande City also.
Sure, Congressman. So let's start with Rio Grande City. That's the easier answer. They've been selected. However, they have to go through the process and bid it out. They don't have the bids in terms of the amount. So right now there's no funding dedicated, but they've been selected. And with this 15 million, they will be in line to receive some of that for PDAP. So that was question one. For Nuevo Laredo, I have approximately $306,000 has been allocated to Nuevo Laredo for the wastewater collectors project. I have roughly 120,000 for the alternative analysis and CCTV, 40,000 for a water audit, 96,000 for the comprehensive wastewater collectors assessment, and then 50,000 for the, we're anticipating an additional 50,000 for the technical memorandum. So about 256,000 that's already been allocated, and we're anticipating another $50,000. And that was in the update, Congressman, that we had sent you. And then as the Congressman mentioned, the alternative analysis is at 100%. The water audit is at 100%. The comprehensive wastewater collectors assessment is at about 60%. And final design, which is being done by COMAPA, is at 90% as well. And so all these things have to take place, have to be completed, have to be reviewed and approved until it moves from PDAP, which is the Project Development Assistance Program, to BEEF, which is the Border Environmental Infrastructure Fund, and those are the construction dollars. So, Julia, I hope that answers your question.
Hey, can we, the information, the slides that you sent over, and I think we sent it over to Melissa Segaroa and Trisha Cortez, that information, can we make that information available to Julia so she can get some of that detail?
Sure, it's public information. It's not a problem. There's no further questions. That concludes today's event. Congressman, thank you again. Please know the $15 million are in great hands to do great projects, some in your district, some in Congressman Hurd's district, some in Congressman Gonzalez and Vela's districts, and Congresswoman Escobar as well. So thank you very much for being here, for your hard work in Washington. Ken, thank you for the continued collaboration with EPA and the bank. And Calixto, thank you for keeping us all in line, because I know the bank, we're an interesting bunch, that's for sure.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Have a good day.
Have a great